Mike Owens here, and today I'm joined by Aspen Ladd, who's coming off one of the biggest victories of her career, a PFL debut on Friday night. Aspen, great to sit down and chat. How are things with you today?
Thank you for having me.
Perfect. How are the emotions after the win, split decision over Julia Budd? How do you feel after the victory?
Extreme. The emotions with the sport in general, they're high highs and low lows. And it couldn't be more of an extreme feeling. Excitement, relief, all kinds of things.
I know you're going to say it was a mixture of feelings, but can you tell me the one major emotion that you felt once you'd got your hands raised?
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to say that one again.
Was there one key emotion that you felt? What was the key emotion that you felt post victory?
Post victory?
Yes.
Joy. Just absolute joy.
That makes total sense.
And it's just like it's like the biggest sigh of relief, or like the biggest in your life. That's what it feels like.
That makes sense. With that being said, it was obviously a split decision. What are the emotions when you realise that one of the judges at least one of the judges has sided against you? How do you feel when the decision is being read out?
That is the most nerve-wracking moment. Anytime it goes to a decision, regardless, it doesn't matter what you think, you're not the one making the decision. So it's a nerve-wracking, horrible, gut-wrenching feeling, because you never know what they're going to decide. Regardless of how you feel you performed, you're not the one deciding your fate. So sitting there waiting for it, that's the worst.
Have you had the chance to watch back your performance, and what are your opinions on the fight as a whole?
Oh, I have a ton of opinions on it. Not my best work, but she was a very, very tough opponent, and I did some things right, and I did a lot of things wrong, and I tend to hyper focus on the negatives as opposed to the positives, and I got work to do. It's like when you get sometimes sparring or working or fighting, you'll reach like a flow type state where you feel on completely. I still haven't reached that in an actual fight. So it's really just trying to get to that point.
Do you think you've hit your prime yet?
I think right now I'm the best fighter I've ever been. But even saying that, as I said, I don't feel like I've ever reached my full potential within the octagon.
Yeah.
And it's just trying to get to that point. So not really, no.
No, I think obviously we talked about this the first time we spoke. There's been a lot of negative or unfair press about Aspen Ladd, and I think when people look at your age and kind of your relative short record in the sport, I think less than about a dozen to 15 fights, you've still got a lot to work to do, and I think a lot of the criticism has been unfair in that regard.
We all got a ton of work to do. I think we've also spoken about how it's like fighting. I don't know about sports in general, but like the media and everything with fighting, it tends to be very, very toxic with a lot of people that don't know they're butt from a hole in the ground, basically.
Yep.
And it's definitely partially that. But yeah, I've been in the sport for a while, but I'm still young, and I'm still young in my career, despite that I've been around for a while.
Of course. And you mentioned there about fighting in the octagon. Obviously, this was a change. Technically, it wasn't an octagon. It was the PFL's cage this time. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was thinking about that when I said it. It's like, what shape was that? It was huge. Like, I remember getting in it and being like, wow, this is a really big space.
It's a circular cage, isn't it? So you don't have the natural walls of the octagon to kind of work with. Did that have any effect at all, or does it not matter in the moment?
No, I didn't notice that. I remember when we were going, so do you know the size of that in comparison to the UFC cage? Because like I'm used to like you're fighting and you see like the cage out of your peripherals, right?
Yeah.
It felt huge in there. Like I didn't see the edge of the cage, that kind of thing. But yeah, no, it didn't really affect me, but I do remember getting in there. I was like, this is a very large space.
How did it feel in terms of fight week, in terms of moving to a new promotion? Did it feel any different, or was it business as usual up until fight night?
A lot of it's very similar. They're run in a very similar way, except I would say that the PFL is more chill, for lack of a better word. And it was fun. Like, it was enjoyable. Yeah, you have a schedule, you have all this stuff to do. But it's like their attitude's like, yeah, we'll handle it. We'll get there. Everything's happy. Whereas like the UFC is like militant with everything. So it's the same stuff, different attitude. And it was a lot more like fun with the PFL.
I would imagine the PFL model suits you a little bit more.
What was that? Sorry.
I would imagine the PFL slightly more relaxed model suits you more than the UFC's more militant, get things done model.
Yeah, no, and every so the people you work with in either one are fantastic. Like the people that actually work for the UFC or work for the PFL are great people. But the PFL, so far, it seems like everybody from the guy that's babysitting us all week, base all the way up to like the head honchos, they're all cool. Like it's like, whoa, this is neat.
Perfect. I want to talk about this as well because a lot of organizations, when they sign such a big star from another organization as yourself, they give them maybe a gimme in the first fight to let them get the feet under the table. You never got a gimme. You got Julia Budd, who's a legend of the heavier women's weight divisions. Were you happy to debut with such a tough opponent in the PFL?
Oh, I was thrilled. So I remember getting as soon as what happened with UFC with me happened, we were on to the next step. And even when I was getting ready to sign the contract with the PFL, we had brought up like, when are we going to fight? But I didn't think that I'd be able to get on to like, there was only one fight left or one fight card left at the end of the year. And I knew exactly which one it was. So it's like, they're probably not going to be able to get me on that because, it's the biggest night of the year. And I had just signed, like it was not a long period of time. And I don't know if she was already on the card and the opponent dropped out. I feel like that might have been what it was. But within a very short period of me finding out, like, all right, I knew I wanted to sign with PFL. I'm going to sign. And then they brought up, well, we might have a fight. It was might. They didn't know. And then they threw the name at me and it's like, are you serious? It's like, that's fantastic. Because honestly, in my entire career, I have not had easy fights. Like but I've always liked that because especially going to like a new promotion, it's a new start. You don't want a can. You want a tough fight. And they basically went out and got the toughest person that could at that weight class. If you don't know who Julia Budd is, like, yeah, like I think she was 16-3, 16-4 when we fought, Bellator champ forever. Like that's a tough chick at 145.
Yeah, no, 100%. If we talk about two other tough chicks at this time at 155, I've got to ask you about the main event, Kayla versus Pacheco. First and foremost, how did you watch it? Did you watch it live? Did you have to catch up on it later? How did you watch the fight?
So it was actually super cool. Like our fight week setup it was Madison Square Garden, but we literally walked from our hotel over because like you take a taxi and it'd take you an hour, even though it was right there. And we were in the New Yorker hotel, and my team and I, we walked back and we went to this little diner and we were eating, and we had it up on our phone and we were watching it. And a bunch of other fighters were in there too, and we were all watching it. And as it was going on, it's like, you know what? I don't know if the judge is going to rob her or what's going to go, but I think Larissa's winning. And when it got to the end and she did, it's like, oh my God. Because like watching it, I thought she had won, but it was close. But it's also like, it's a weird situation because it's not like they've only fought like once or twice. They've already fought 3 times. But honestly, what makes sense would probably be a rematch, but that's their 4th fight. So I don't know.
Well, this is kind of what I wanted to ask, because if it's a 4th fight, Kayla said she won't compete in another season, which means Larissa probably can't compete in another season. So do you anticipate Larissa will chase the 4th fight with Kayla or another $1 million and another world title in 2023?
I think she's going to chase the fight with Kayla. But, well, see, Kayla has been in control for a long time. And she's still writing her narrative. She's still their name, but Larissa is now the boss. Like she owns that division. So it's less what Kayla wants. I think it's more what Larissa wants. Like, what does she want to do? I could be wrong, but that's how I'm looking at it.
We talked the first time we spoke about Kayla, and you described it as a potential fun matchup in the future. But obviously, when we're talking here about Kayla and Larissa potentially not competing in the season, you've obviously confirmed you will compete in the season. Is it maybe in any way a disappointment with what happened Friday night that you could potentially lose out on both opponents?
It's just different. So obviously, I like most of the world, I expected to go the other way again. I expected a decision to go Kayla's way. But watching it, Larissa clearly won it, even though it was a decision. And I was not. I think it's because I just fought at that point, and I was just like, either way, something's gonna happen. It's like, because I'm gonna go. I already know I'm gonna go into the 45 season. If a fight with one of them was to materialize, perfect. But I didn't have my heart set on it either way. It's like, I'm gonna fight regardless. I'm happy right now. Let's just see how this goes. And it's kind of exciting. Like anytime there's a mix up like that or a stir up, it just gets more interesting.
Of course. And obviously, I presume your opinion of Larissa's perhaps changed in a way that it changed for a lot of the world. But did your opinion of Kayla Harrison and her skill set change at all?
No, she basically showed what I had seen previously with her, and she'll come back from it. A loss doesn't define your career. A loss is just that. You learn from it, you get better, and you come back. And she's going to do the same thing. She'll probably come back with a vengeance, and we'll see how that next fight goes and what they choose to do.
The quote you said there about coming back from a vengeance with a loss is obviously very pertinent to what you've done on Friday night, coming back from a recent, let's say, a recent bit of adversity and difficulty in your career. I'd like to know, how does it feel to get that win after so long and be back in the win column after all that's gone on?
After a lot of fighting stuff and personal stuff that was just not great, to have something like that after so much work and time, it's just the best feeling in the world.
I read your Instagram post and you talked about the coaches who'd stuck by you and the best manager in the world. There's obviously a little bit of a story there that I won't ask you to divulge if you don't want to, but just how important is the team around you that you have and have kept you to where you are now?
They believed in me when I didn't. So they've been the biggest part of it. Like Jim and Dave have moved me from my entire career, from amateur to now. And then you got Lem and Marcus, and we haven't been together that long, like the last year, but they've been with me through some of like the worst parts of my life, basically. And just it was never negative. It was never, and I've had this with other people in my life, even people close to me. It's like they don't believe, not just in the career, but like I've had problems with people. They can't really separate who I am as a person from what I do. So if what I'm doing is not going well, then I'm treated completely differently. These people, they just gave a shit about me. They gave a shit about my career, and when I didn't believe in myself, they did. And having that was honestly instrumental in getting back to where I am now.
Yeah. Well, that's very powerful. That's great to hear. And as we kind of move into the present, a little bit into the future, if you like, you're obviously confirmed for the 2023 PFL season. I don't know if you've watched many interviews with some of the other athletes who've competed in the season, but the likes of Brendan Loughnane, Kayla Harrison, Anthony Pettis have all told me personally it's the most difficult thing they've done. Do you anticipate how difficult this PFL season is going to be next year?
I anticipate it, but I still haven't experienced it yet. So I'm looking forward to the experience of it. And we've talked about it, my coaches and I, my teammates and I, was like, how are we going to do this and not get like basically hurt in between? So certain things are going to have to be changed training wise, but just a little bit more careful in certain ways. But I'm extremely excited and looking forward to it. But yeah, it's going to be grueling from what I can tell and from what I'm expecting.
Yeah, 100%. Finally, from me, because I think it's your fight date is almost perfect in many ways in the calendar, because you get to enjoy the lead up to Christmas and the Christmas period. What are your plans for Christmas? How do you plan to celebrate the festive season?
So it's, for me and my family, it's always been Christmas Eve. I'm Italian on one side and like Danish and everything else on the other. But so on Christmas Eve, I'll be with my grandma regardless, and we'll do something. And then after that, we'll see. Perfect.
Well, congratulations on the victory. It was great to see you get back in the win column on Friday night. And it was great to catch up with you today. And I wish you the best of luck in the 2023 season, if we don't speak before.
Thank you for having me.
Before we finish, Aspen, how can people find you on social media and any sponsors you would like to plug? The floor is yours for the last word.
Yeah, no, sponsor wise, it's Capital City Honda, and Michael Fitzgerald. Mike Fitz basically on Instagram. And as far as me, it's just my name. I always thought it was weird enough. So if you look up Aspen Ladd anywhere, I'll pop up.